Well, some of you may know today's guest from visiting the old location right here in Livonia, Michigan. And some of you may not know that there's a new location that can be found in Wixom. So many changes happening since the pandemic, and we're doing what we can to help those small businesses that support us and the citizens of the Great Mitten State. Back to the Past has been a staple in the comic book collectibles community since 1990, and we're doing our part to continue to support local businesses here in Michigan and talent during this trying time. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Chris Benson. Please help me welcome Scott Lovejoy to the show. And Scott, you're here from Back to the Past.
Mm-hmm. Very glad to be here. Thank you.
Great. So Back to the Past. Let's start in the past. Tell us the history of this business in Michigan.
Well, we got started back in 1990, and the guy that founded the company, his name's Andy. He was a big fan of Marvel Comics and monster movies, and so he started a small store. He started in, I think, 600 square feet, tiny little shop, opened a comic book stand and selling monster movie stuff. And at that time, I was involved in the IT world, so I was working for EDS and was really into computers. We met and hit it off. I got involved in the store a little bit at a time, but around the mid-1990s, I said, you know, there's this thing called the internet, and I think it might be big. So maybe we should get the store online. And so that's really when I really got involved, and it sort of took over my life as well. And so we have gone through so many iterations of what we do over the years, just having fun with things in the pop culture world, figuring out all sorts of oddities and interesting finds along the way.
And you went from a very small space to something much larger. So tell us about how the scale has increased over the years.
Pretty much every time we've gone from place to place and we've moved, our customers over the years would roll their eyes each time we'd say, hey, we're moving again. Again? Didn't you just move? But we would always move forward and find new space. We were around the Redford area, as you mentioned, for a while, and then we moved to Livonia, and our most recent jump was to Wixom. But over the years, because we started as a new comic book store, it fit in a certain amount of space, but as we sort of evolved as a company, we got a lot more involved in vintage items, helping people figure out what their stuff is worth. What do they have sitting in a basement that they keep thinking, one of these days, I'm going to get around to doing something with this pile of stuff. And as we dealt with that, it's just interesting how it's grown, how the collections have grown larger, and we've dealt with more and more different types of items. And so because of that, our last jump moved us to about 12,000 square feet. So
wow.
Our spot up in Wixom is, I love the spot. I love Livonia. I didn't really want to leave Livonia, but we couldn't really find the kind of place we were looking for. Great opportunity popped up in Wixom, and so back in November we moved the operation up there, and we are just overwhelmed by the response that we're getting. So we're very excited about that.
Awesome. I was checking out your website before the show, and there's a motto on the website. Talk to us about your motto.
Our motto on the website. That we're always looking for dusty treasures.
There
is that the one you're talking about? Okay, all
right. Yeah. You're like, wait a minute, I've been working on this website all day. I have to remember now. You're putting me on. See the lights. I know.
Well, over the years, it's interesting. We've had a few different mottos, so I'm like, oh boy, which one are we talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, we are always on the hunt for interesting, dusty treasures. There is just personally, there's nothing more exciting for me than the idea that we're pulling a box out and nobody has opened this box maybe for the last 40 or 50 years, and it's what's going to be inside it. And it may be worthless nothing,
sure,
but it may be an amazing treasure. And so that to me is that's the fun of what we do. I mean, it's great. A lot of times, I'm sure we'll talk about values on things, and so the question comes like, what's the most expensive thing you've had, or what are things worth? Yeah. And so certainly to find something that's worth a lot of money, that's exciting. But to me, just the visceral excitement of just uncovering something, and it could be mundane or it could be really, really obscure and exotic, but it's the fun of opening that box and realizing you're the first person to take a look at this in decades. That's very cool.
Now you mentioned your origin story, or the store's origin story, was really kind of comic related, we'll say, and that's always, I love comics myself. I also noticed, I looked at your site, there's just a list of so many things. I saw toys, vintage signs, collectibles. What are some other things? Just give me some of those things you've got in the store, a list of categories, if you will,
it's
genres.
We tend to refer to it as a pop culture collectible. But even pop culture might be a little bit too limited in the scope of what it is. But we tend to lean towards anything that is interesting and vintage is something that we'd like to handle, aside from getting into things like furniture or lamps or china or just general antiques. But in each of those categories, there are interesting things. Like we don't necessarily, we're not looking for lamps. But for those who know Christmas Story, the leg lamp
of course.
In that movie, like
it's a major award,
right? Right, exactly. Fragile, it must be Italian. Those are great. So I wouldn't handle a lamp, but a leg lamp, yeah. And I might not handle an old record player, but if it's like a Roy Rogers record player or something, you know. So if it's interesting, if it attaches to a personality or a rock band or even political, we've handled coins, vintage records. Things we refer to as grandma's attic, things like old pocket knives or calendars from 1954, paper and ephemera, postcards, magazines, signage. Old advertising is actually a very interesting field.
Wow.
So it's a very wide spectrum, and as we'll kind of get into when we talk about some of the things on the table here, sometimes it leads us a bit afield from what we expected, but that's okay, because it's all about the. I love the story, and I love the the exploration, or the finding the interesting
Sure.
thing that's not expected.
Well, we know you're going to stay tuned because you want to hear the story behind these items, particularly this one, which is so interesting to me. I want to know if those are real teeth. I'm sure you do too. So stay tuned. We'll be right back, and you'll hear more from Scott Lovejoy of Back to the Past.
You have pre-diabetes.
Pre-diabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get pre-diabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for pre-diabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you! She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand.
Ah, there you go.
Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Jane!
to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and I'm here with Scott Lovejoy of Back to the Past in Wixom, Michigan. I was delighted to see the items that you brought to us today. We've got some really unique things. We have to end on this one closest to me because I just need to know the story. But can we start with the item at that end of the table and just tell us about what am I looking at right now?
Okay, so this here on this end, this is a turn of the century pickle caster, and this was something that was considered an evidence that you were an upscale family if you could afford pickles on your dining room table.
Okay.
That was considered, an upper class move. And so pickle casters were all the rage. They made them in all shapes and sizes. They tend to kind of follow this format though with the little pair of tongs so you could pull the pickles out. I suspect that a lot of people had these and never actually ate a pickle, though. I would bet, just because it's just a status symbol.
Well, it's such a unique and neat item, and it's beautiful. It's very elegant. I mean, to have, you've got a story behind it, of course. And then I imagine, I would just love to have that on my table at, a dinner and have people say, "What is this?" And
what is?
Well, by the way, here's what it is.
Yes, exactly. And that's the fun of that now is that it's a conversation piece because, what is that? What would it have been used for? And so they're kind of interesting from that perspective.
And I feel like unique items, people want those kind of things today. And I'm sure you see lots of different things like that and have lots of different things like that in the store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From that to things that you could hang on the wall or whatever, a lot of the interest that we have in collectible items these days really comes from decor as opposed to, we'll talk a little bit about comic books, but a lot of the things that we carry these days are things that should be out for display.
Yeah.
And so that's fun.
Well, the second item, when you pulled it out, I broke into Kill the Wabbit, Kill the Wabbit, which was a terrible rendition of that. But for those who don't know, tell us what we're looking at in the second item.
So this is Elmer Fudd from the cartoon What's Opera Doc, and you nailed the tune from that.
I don't know about nailing it, but go ahead.
But what makes this piece interesting is this is actually a prototype. And it's a one-of-a-kind item. It was designed by the Warner store back when that was a thing. And they intended to have this, the actual piece that they would have made for the store in production would have been a little bit smaller. This is a little overscale because they could working on getting the design right. But they were developing this just as the store went out of business. And this was a prototype piece that never actually turned into a production item. So that makes it incredibly rare. It's a one-of-a-kind piece.
Absolutely. And to have something like that, again, a story and something unique. It seems like that's a trend today, is that people want an item that has both of those qualities. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. The fact that it's unique, there's a story behind it, and that makes it interesting.
And then, of course, we have a comic here, the Hulk.
Had to bring a comic.
I'm glad you did.
This is something we actually have coming up in an auction that we're doing on Saturday. So this is actually going out, crossing the auction block on Saturday. What makes this particular book notable is the fact that it is the first appearance of Wolverine.
Oh, wow.
And so in this era, if you look at comic pricing, if you look at a pricing guide and you're kind of going up through these issues of Incredible Hulk, they're all pretty common. They're like $2, $2, $2, $2. And then all of a sudden you get to this one. And it's the first appearance of Wolverine, which at the time didn't cause a whole lot of a stir, but obviously down the road now we know what a big deal Wolverine is and the X-Men. And so this is it's a solid high-grade copy. We grade it at a very fine. And currently this book, I think, is sitting at $2,100 in bidding.
Okay.
And we expect it to end up at $3,000 or $4,000 by Saturday night.
Oh my!
Well, so this is a really big deal book.
So this is not something I want to leave on the coffee table, accidentally set my cup on it, and head to the other room.
And it's generally not something you want to read and bend the covers back or anything.
Yeah.
This is one of those where it's held with white gloves.
Excellent. Well, good to know. And then there's this item at this end of the table. When I saw this coming out of the box and going on the table, I said, now there's an item. Scott, I must know, first, are those real teeth? And second, what am I looking at?
The reason I brought it is for most of the reasons you just mentioned. This is where what we do is so fascinating. We might go out and go into a house and sort of expect what we're looking for, where they're looking for certain things, and what we find is not what we expected. This is just a great piece. This is Peruvian roadside art. It is actually made with real horns and real teeth. They're animal teeth. It's sculpted and sold, from a roadside vendor, and it is just one of the weirdest looking odd things I've ever seen. And now I don't know if you want to mess with it, but if you grab those horns and you lift it up, there's actually it's a knife. The teeth come apart, and there's a knife inside. Now, what's interesting is like the knife has a brand on it, and it's basically what would be the equivalent of going into Target and buying a knife. It's like the knife is not special at all. It's just sort of found and worked into the art piece. But it's just what a unique, fascinating item. And this is where sometimes when people say, well, what are you looking for? What are you buying? I could tell you things that I might be interested in, but so many times when we walk into a place, we'll end up with something like this, and I just think, well, that's just too cool. I have to, I have to bring that back.
And again, who might be interested in this? You just don't know. It could be a piece you want to put on a bookshelf. It could be something to have in a room where I've got found items from all across the globe. Mm-hmm. It definitely caught my eye.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you that.
It's a great display piece. It's pretty cool.
And again, the fact that there's these hidden features in the items as well, where you get it and you go, oh wow, that looks neat, and then it's got this whole other story behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And who knows who owned this item before? It could be a thing of
where
legend.
exactly it came from, I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
And we have to take another break already. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Scott talking more about Back from the Past, or Back to the Past. Stay tuned.
Maria, so how's work?
It was fourth period biology. Our students just weren't getting how easily viruses spread. So Miss Bella and I had them role play a zombie virus outbreak. By the time they had all learned the lesson, all the living were dead. Hey, how's your job going?
That big sales meeting I planned? Next year, I might get to go.
Cool.
So my uncle calls and he says he's dizzy and he's losing his balance. I'm like, Unc, you want me to take you to a doctor? He's like, no, I'm gonna look up the symptoms. I said, your symptoms are you're dizzy and you're losing your balance. So he said, I can't get on the internet because my arm is numb. I said, well, use your good arm and dial 911. Stroke's no joke. If you or someone you love is showing symptoms of stroke, don't wait because it might be too late. Dial 911. Time lost is brain lost.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Madonna University's Broadcast and Cinema Arts program is preparing me for the future.
I'm learning from industry professionals, making connections, and honing my skills from hands-on experience every day.
The professors are dedicated to my success, instilling professionalism, creative thinking, and a strong work ethic.
Join Madonna University's Broadcast and Cinema Arts program. Earn your Bachelor's of Arts and take that first step towards your dreams.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson. Here with me today is Scott Lovejoy of Back to the Past in Wixom, Michigan. And we ended the last segment with this item. I don't even know what to call. I want to give him a name, but I'm not sure what it is. Does he have
I don't
a name?
know that I could either.
Okay.
It's sort of found art or handcraft. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to ask you to show the feature of.
Right. So now this is a lot of times when we find something, we think we know what it is, and then we find out that there's something else about it that we did not know. We actually bought this and brought it back to the store, and then discovered that he comes apart at the teeth, and this is what's actually inside.
Oh my.
So yeah. So watch for sharp edges.
I guess. Well, and I think that's a interesting metaphor and segue into what you do. Thank you for putting that down.
I don't want to knock him over.
Let's be safe.
Yeah.
What service you provide to people too. So I'm sure there's lots of people who either come into an estate, and they're trying to settle things for their parents, maybe a home, and they've got lots of items. They have no idea what the value is. Talk about how you help people in that way so that they're getting the value for items or that they're not taken advantage of.
That is such a big part of the evolution of kind of where we've come from. That what we mainly do these days is we work with estates. We've worked with probate attorneys or financial advisors who have clients that are in a situation where they need to downsize. Perhaps there's been a death in the family. They're trying to sort these things out. And it is a major part of our mission statement that we want to be able to come in and provide some peace of mind and give someone some stability and some good information where it can give them a good sense of calm about. So, when there are collections of that type, we've got some horror stories that we've heard from people about people who try to take advantage of them. So, a major piece of what we do is to make sure people are educated about what they have. And whether we are the particular best experts on the collection that they have, or whether we're trying to get them to someone that we believe is the next trusted party who can help them out. The goal is to solve that problem, to figure out what is something worth. And it really can go both ways. Sometimes we've been in situations where people were literally planning on putting things out on the curb. They're just ready to clean a house out, put things on the curb. Someone called us and said, can you come and take a look at this? And we come out and the next thing we find is that we're writing them a check for 5 figures to cover, the value of what they have. And they had no idea. But it can also happen the other way. Sometimes families are trying to make decisions and figure things out, and they might have in their head that they're sitting on $1 million. But it just isn't. The unfortunate truth is, even in the collectibles world, even with comic books, anything that you can think of that you've heard some crazy amount of money that someone gets for an item, there have been a lot of things produced that just aren't worth anything. So it can go both ways. And so for a family to understand what might come next, they need to understand the value of what they have. So that's important.
Particularly at a time, when someone's passed on and you've got items and you really are looking for someone, you mentioned the word trust. Someone I can trust, it's an emotional time. If someone is watching and they're in that situation, do they just call you? How does that work now? And I know we're in some pandemic times as well, so does that different now?
The COVID pandemic has really forced us to hone our ability to deal with things remotely before we have any kind of contact. So that's actually been an interesting influence, because what we're able to do a lot of times is talk someone through taking some photographs, maybe getting on FaceTime and walking around with the camera, and we'll say, can you look at this? Can you open this up? Show me what's in it. So there's a lot of steps we can take to help someone in a real general sense to figure out, is this something that should require some closer examination, or is it something that might be disposable and isn't that big a deal? So that's important. But yeah, if someone calls us or deals with us in that way, we do as much as we can remotely, and then if we do need to get together, we follow safety precautions and everything. But we come out and we take a closer look. If it's an item or a small box, sometimes people can just come to the shop. But if it's a house full of stuff, then we can travel to take a look at that. And we've dealt with collections as far away as New York, One of our big 2020 projects is we had a family in Pensacola, Florida, where someone passed away and they owned a store and had a house full of stuff. We ended up bringing, it was the equivalent of about 2 semi-truckloads up to Michigan from Pensacola, Florida. Took us 6 or 9 months to get through that entire collection. And by the time we got done, they had someone local offer them $40,000 for their collection. By the time we got done working for them, we had returned about $300,000 to the family.
Oh my
so
gosh.
by far we surpassed the next best offer.
Wow.
And I'm so proud of that because they just absolutely love us now.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're a great testimonial about the kind of work we can do.
And I saw a number of testimonials on your website. Tell us your website again. What's the address?
It's gobacktothepast.com, all spelled out.
Gobacktothepast.com. Excellent. So if anyone needs more information, they can check it out there. Do you have items for sale on the website as well?
Well, we have things. The website will link to our eBay store. We don't actually have web commerce on our site, but we work through the eBay store. And also a big part of what we do is event-based. We use a platform called Proxibid for like live auctions, which in better times, we have people in the room with the bidder cards and the whole old-fashioned auction experience. But we stream that online. It's all available. Like we were talking about that Hulk. That's on Proxibid. That'll be going off this Saturday night.
Very soon.
So stay tuned for those as well.
Awesome. Scott, the time has gone by so fast. We've so enjoyed going back to the past with you. I have loved seeing that item, and I know our viewers have as well. Thank you so much for watching today. Unfortunately, our time is done. We're thankful that Scott could join us from Back to the Past, and we're thankful to you as viewers who will support these Michigan businesses so they can continue to thrive in our great state. Thanks for all that you do, and we'll see you next time on Celebrate Michigan. Take care.